Hey guys, my name is JessiMew, and welcome back to the Ancient Legends Challenge. In the last episode, we unearthed the fiercest looking digging trunk that I have ever seen. We found her encased in one of the glaciers, and it seems as though she has some sort of connection with both Melody with this heat body, and with Anareme too, thanks to those ram horns. But she's also hiding the antennas in her inactive traits, which is particularly interesting. It makes me think that her family was probably very important in her time, because they would have been able to predict the patterns of the weather, so maybe when it's going to snow, and when would be the best time for them to settle down and start their families too. The snow is important when we have bases to work with, like our families over by the shores, so they have plenty of time to grow their families and stay nice and toasty warm together. I was saying that she was like our little warlord because she does look so fierce, but since we found her at such a young age, I'm starting to think that might not be true. Maybe it was her father, or even her mother, who was feared for their iron fist, and she was being trained to take their place when she grew. But I like to think that maybe her family was overthrown. Maybe that's even why she was all alone off in the ice, when her family was betrayed and she was left for dead. Since she was so young, I don't think that she would really grasp the full situation. She probably wouldn't think that her family was good or bad. She would just remember that they were betrayed, and that's all that truly matters to her. I wonder if Meissi would remember her family too? Oh my goodness, poor Copper. You might want to shovel out a little bit of a pathway before you get too ahead of yourself. I was hoping that we could have Anareme go ahead and dig up one of those roots, but it might be tricky with all of the snow in the way. Yeah, I feel like Fang is going to be the most sympathetic to her story, because I'm sure he has developed a little bit of a crush. He was the one who freed her from the ice after all, so it certainly wouldn't be out of the question. But we'll have them try their best to dig up some extra food on the next turn. As we take a look back here at our bunny guides again. You know, they've actually been doing a pretty good job shoveling out the snow for us. I'm pretty glad that we have so many of them. Oh my goodness, wait a second. Oh my gosh, are the birds picking them up or something? Or did they just escape after they saw Madison lurking from the distance? Because we had plenty more bunnies than this. There only seemed to be a couple of them left. Yeah, they must have just skittered off toward the top of the mountain, because it looks like there are still plenty of pathways on the backside. So Madison might have to do a bit more exploring if she wants to find them again. That means she'll probably need help. And I suppose Rekois might be a good one for us to choose, since she was actually pretty darn good at hunting. Once her mate showed her how, it turned out to be one of her favorite ways to connect to her family. This bunny isn't doing so well in the snow though. Oh, do you think maybe they can't shovel out the biggest patches? Maybe they can only burrow their way through? That's interesting. Okay, so it might be a little bit trickier for us to catch our meals than I thought it would be. But I'm sure that our tribe is up for the challenge. We have babies to feed after all, and if that's not good motivation, then I don't know what is. Let's have Nevi try to clear out a good place for Meissi to set up another one of those nests. Unfortunately, Pineapple wasn't able to inherit any of those special genes that she's carrying. She is very clearly another creature blessed by Melody herself, with a heat body hidden away in her inactive traits. Kaneki couldn't have asked for a better partner, and I know that he is going to spend every single day from now on just singing from those tree stumps. It actually makes sense too, because one of you mentioned that Melody came from a long line of singers herself. So I suppose she was particularly impressed by Kaneki's singing? Hello? Oh my goodness, you guys found a little snow crabbit? He must be looking for the hot springs. Oh, you poor thing. Unfortunately, I don't think that Choopy and Simber are so willing to give up their place, because they are very, very cold too. I'll bet Simber is still shivering even from inside his warm bath. as they watch this bluebird swooping overhead. Simber's probably just grumbling, asking himself how on earth he let his friend get him into the situation. But Choopy knows that he loves the adventure too, so he's not going to let him off the hook. He knows that he's having fun deep down inside. I suppose they might even be able to see this blood-red creature in the distance, just barely peeking over the snowdrifts. Do you think that maybe Choopy would get a little bit curious? Maybe he would step his way out of the hot springs, just in time for the bunny guides to try to stop him. Interesting. I wonder if that one is Grimsley? Grimsley seems to really want his babies to turn back toward their families, but they're just too interested in the adventure. Yeah, I'm really curious if maybe Meissi was around during the war too, that ancient war with the old blood-red digging trunks. I'm not sure if she's too old to really cross paths with Anareme, but it'll be interesting to see if it does happen. I feel like this family is probably the simplest of the bunch. They really prefer to just stay on the shore and scoop up their shells. And in fact, Stone, I think you should be able to grab this one for us. And you can shovel out some of that snow too, so your little brother can get around much easier. Maybe we could find some roots for Pixel to dig up for you? No, I don't think so. Oh, there's nothing around here for you guys to eat, unless we can find some more shells off by the shores. So let's have you scoot into the water. It might make you a little bit cold on the next turn, so we'll have to be careful. But if you can scout out for shells, that would be excellent. Fingers crossed we'll be safe from the leeches too. For the most part, it seemed like the leeches were all contained to the side of the mountain. So I mean, it's even more fitting that Anareme and her family were banished to the dark side, if you will. The most dangerous area in all the land. But let's go ahead and skip the turn again. Oh, it looks like the snow is still building. But it is getting a little bit warmer. Oh, the screen isn't quite so blue anymore. Maybe that means it's actually going to start to melt on the next turn. It should also mean that our creatures won't be quite as vulnerable to the colds. Unfortunately, it's not the same for Pixel. We'll have to bring him over to his family again so he doesn't end up freezing, because it looks like there aren't any shells. Oh, but there are roots. Oh, thank goodness. And just in time for this new little digging trunk baby too. Oh, how cute does she look? With the pink hammer tail and the pink Megaloceros horns, just like her mother. So she's going to be very proud. Now the next name on my list is Triss. So welcome to our tribe, little one. I'm sure you're going to have fun scouting for roots with your big brother Stone. Let's see if he can scoot his way over there. Oh, he must have been a little bit cold too. It looks like he only has one turn to use. Oh, the poor thing. Yeah, this family's going to have to be a little bit careful, because without the big body to keep them warm, and with the hammer tails making their cold resistance even worse, they are very, very likely to get themselves into some sticky situations. But it'll all be much easier once you guys can finally move around again, if the snow does begin to melt on the next turn. Ooh, Rekois. It looks like the bunny may not have noticed you. Now we can scoop this guy up and you can give it to all of the little babies. You know, I wonder if she might actually want to stay behind. I mean, she does want to do her hunting so she can feel a bit more connected to Grimsley, but she also really loves watching after babies, and she probably misses her son. She didn't really get much of a chance to interact with him because he wandered off on his own so soon. So she's probably feeling a little bit sad, a little bit nostalgic. And honestly, she would make an excellent babysitter. That poison tail of hers ensures that nobody is going to get too close to the babies. So as Nevi perhaps shovels out a little area for the baby to toddle out of the nest, we can finally sit Meissi high atop her throne again, and she can sing to melody too. Oh, I bet Kaneki would teach her all of the songs. We can sing loud and proud to thank her for all of her gifts. Maybe that'll even be enough for her to consider giving us that heat body next in the inactive traits of our babies. Now, where did all your little bunnies go? Well, I mean, it's really good to see so many roots out here. But yeah, the bunnies are definitely gone. Oh no, and your snow crabbit passed away. Well, Simber, you better do the honors, since you were the one who would not give the crabbit your place inside the hot springs. You better come on in here so you can pick up the remains at least. We want to make sure that the bluebird doesn't get its hands on it either, or its talons rather. So as long as somebody is sitting next to the remains, we should be okay. Now let's have Choopy carve down these big snowdrifts. We might as well have him pick up some of that extra nesting material too, because I have noticed that we're getting rather low. But this should at least allow for Anareme and her knights to reach them. Hopefully that little root is still here too. Oh, there's actually plenty of roots down here, and those bunnies are still burrowing through the snow. So I suppose you might want to point that out to your knights, because I have a feeling they're going to be very, very eager to catch you some food. Oh, it looks like you might actually be showing them how to hunt. Gotta do everything yourself these days. It's just so hard to find good help around here. But I'm sure they'll be able to pin down those bunnies before long. It'll be much, much easier if the snow actually does begin to melt. Now, Kaneki, I guess you could probably go after those roots too. I'm not sure if he is quite close enough to dig any up on this turn, but he can definitely start clearing out the area, so it'll be much, much easier when the sun rises again. And we'll have Rekois do the same, just clear out the snow around her so nobody gets trapped, as Madison attempts to figure out where all of the bunnies have run off to. Yeah, let's have her try to investigate all of these different pathways. I'm very, very curious to see what's been moving around back here. Yes, the bunnies! But now that we know that they can't get through the big snow mounds, that must mean that something else is making these pathways first. So I wonder if maybe she'll run into a walrus deer out there? And that would be excellent for our food stores. That would be a good way to ensure that none of the babies ever go hungry. Oh no, the snow isn't melting. It's just building up more. But it's definitely getting warmer out, so that has to be a good sign, right? Maybe we just need one more day before the sun finally melts the snow. Surely we're not going to get stuck like this. If we are, then I'm not really sure what we're going to do about that glacier situation. I know it's somewhere back here, but I can't remember exactly where it was, so we'll just have to try our best to stumble straight into it. And poor Madison. Oh, you found a sinkhole. Well, at least you can jump over here and grab this bunny for us. There you go. Yeah, the bluebirds are very interested in this area too, so I suppose she might even be following them to try to get some clues. Now, let's see if this little baby had any more luck. Ooh, he has the Bergina snout in his inactive traits. Unfortunately, still no heat body, so Melody wasn't quite so impressed with your singing, I'm afraid. Maybe Kaneki is going to have to try to take over again. We might have to move her nest off of the stump for now. Let's bring her over here, so he should be able to breed with her. She can scoop up that nest, and hopefully place it down again. There we go. Just enough nesting material was salvaged. Now let's make sure that we're getting back to work on those roots. We can have Nevi pick up this one, and then maybe she can scoot her way into the hot springs. There we go. I noticed that she was getting a little bit cold, so I want to make sure that she's still healthy. We have another root up here for Kaneki to grab. All of his babies will be safe, so he can do a bit of foraging. And I suppose we could always have Rekois try her best to guide Pineapple towards some more roots. She can try her best to shovel out the snow, so she can help him train for the future. That way he should be able to gather plenty of food for the tribe too. Go ahead and clear out the snow for him right around the root. You're probably making it too easy for him, in fact. She can't help it though. Our timid little mouse does have a very, very soft heart. Maybe it's time that we clear up the little nests around here too. This one seems to be very, very old and withered, so we'll see how much nesting material we can gather from it, and I'm sure with the brand new nest, we'll have plenty to set up for a new family. Very curious that the piranha fish have returned though. I thought maybe these ocean waters would be a bit too cold for them. Ooh, I wonder if that's a sign from the other royal family. Maybe that's putting a bit of a knot in Maissi's stomach. She sees that blood-red piranha fish in the water, and I'm sure she'd call out to Pixel to get out of there as fast as he can, because the red fish only mean bad things to come. Oh my gosh, and the rabbit's dead in the water too? Oh, she has to be taking this as an omen now. Maybe this would even be her chance to tell her babies about the old royal family, so they might know the stories of Anareme and her warlord parents too. But I think that Pixel is not too sure about these stories. Honestly, he knows the truth about the glaciers, and he knows the truth about Mei as well. In order to give Meissi hope, Mei did lie to her. She convinced Meissi that she was actually her grandmother, for better or for worse. It gave her comfort at the time, but now her mind is just spinning, because she thinks the royals could be out there too. But Pixel is a quiet skeptic. He knows it's very, very unlikely that anybody else survived in those glaciers. He just doesn't want to tell her the truth, because he doesn't want to break her heart. Of course, they will all be shocked once they come to realize that Anareme is actually alive and well. So go ahead and pick up this meat, dig up some of those roots for us, and then we'll have your brave and valiant knights carve out a pathway straight toward Chupi. You should be able to get up here on the next turn, and hopefully feast on all of these bunnies. You know, I think Chupi is finally going to take a swing. He doesn't know why these bunnies have been so interested in him for so long, but he is making his choice right here. He's not going to turn back and go toward his family. He's going to stay with these new and strange, mysterious creatures with their blood-red digging trunk. So the bunny guides no longer have a reason to stay near him, because he's just not willing to listen. I'm sure they are going to mourn his chosen path, especially if those bunnies hopping around really were from the spirit of Grimsley. But let's have Simber make his way back to the hot springs now. Now that he's picked up that crabbit meat, he might even be able to bring it back and offer it up to Anareme too. I'm sure she would be very, very appreciative of a nice, good, warm meal if he soaks it up in the hot springs. But let's go ahead and skip the day again. The little babies better stay by the family just in case it does get colder. Yeah, I'm not really sure what's going on here, if the snow is going to melt or not. But either way, it seems like Madison is really separating herself from the rest of the family. I'm a bit concerned that she's going to get totally lost out there, so we'll have to be careful. Maybe if we're lucky, one of the new little babies will be brave enough to take the journey with her. But really, they just need to be hardy. Oh, finally! Yes, and he looks so much like his father, too. Oh, that is adorable. Melody's flames are back. So we'll be naming this little baby Jester. And then I think I actually forgot to name his brother. Oh, you poor thing. The next name on my list for you is Namjoon. So welcome to our tribe, too. You're just as sunny as your mother, so I'm sure you will at the very least keep our tribe's spirits very, very high. And goodness knows they could use it with all of these bluebirds hovering overhead. That has got to be unnerving for our new parents. But I can definitely see little June just squawking from the tree stump, trying his best to act mighty to scare this bluebird away. Granted, I think he is probably going to follow these paths, just to try to find some lunch. Yeah, but it looks like he has the same idea in mind as Madison. So June is probably going to take that as a victory for him. We'll scoot him on over here though, so that Kaneki should be able to settle up here with his family. He was getting very cold and very close to the end of his lifespan, So I think it's time that we set up another baby before it's too late. Likewise, I'm pretty sure that Anareme is going to want to start her family too. Almost as if she's training little soldiers for war. It was how she was raised after all, so I wouldn't be surprised if she thinks of her family in the same way. But her first choice is definitely going to be Fang. He always seemed the most receptive to her stories, so I can't see her choosing anybody else. I am super interested to see if those antennas are going to pass on, even if it's just in their inactive traits. I would love to see it on some of their future babies. So let's scoot you on over here. We can have Choopy gather up some extra nesting material, so maybe you can use that too. But how should we set up their mutation menus to maximize the potential for ancient genes? We want to make sure that most of them are going to pass on. I suppose the digging trunk is the most important to her family, so maybe we should put that in Fang's slot. I'm guessing it would probably pass over the Berryina snout, but just to make it a little bit more likely, we'll keep that in his traits too. His fertility is okay. Not the best, but certainly much better than some of our other tribe mates. So in order to ensure that their babies are still warm enough to travel the mountainsides alone, to spread their influence all across the land like her old family, maybe we'll just focus on something like the mask for now, some of those more aesthetic genes, so we can really make their families stand out from the snow. Just like the digging trunk, I guess we'll go ahead and place one of those Megaloceros horns into her slot too. So it won't completely overtake the antenna. There's still a possibility that it could pop up on their babies, but there's also a chance that those big Megaloceros horns can make them stronger too. So go ahead and breed with Anareme, and then she should be able to scoot next to the hot springs, I guess, and place down her nest right here. That should keep her pretty much protected from balance bears and ram foxes. She has the trees and the bushes, but she also has plenty of loyal knights on all sides of her, so she really has nothing to worry about. We'll bring Copper over this way to shovel out the snow, and just ensure that nothing comes from this side, as Fang does the same, excited as ever to meet his very first baby. I'd imagine that Anareme probably has her eyes on Choopy as well, thanks to his saber-toothed fangs, and that Berryina claw, of course. Now that's something that she has probably never ever seen in her life, because I'm not sure that Berryinas can even spawn on this island. I'm pretty sure they need some sort of grassland biome to do so. So I'm guessing that the Berryinas were probably not around during her time. So maybe she'd want to make that power her own. Meissi is still feeling very, very unsettled. And now I feel as though she may have made her children think the same. Pixel is probably just quietly shaking his head from the water. He doesn't want to upset her more, but he is also not too happy that his children are so frightened. Maybe he'll try to pull some of them away, just to tell them not to worry. The piranha has disappeared after all. Surely it was just a fluke? Maybe the piranha couldn't survive in these cold waters, and they can continue their old simple lifestyle? Oh, and the leeches are back too. Yet another sign of the old royal family. Let's have Meissi dart to the edge of the water so she can warn him, tell him to watch out. And then hopefully she can find a way to shovel out the snow so she can pull him to the shore. I mean, literally just yank him straight out of the water. She doesn't care what he says. It is far too dangerous in those waves for their family to continue their ways. We'll have Triss try carving out a pathway? Oh my goodness. There's rocks blocking your way now, Triss. Rocks absolutely everywhere. Oh, I didn't realize we settled right in the middle of so many rocks. Hopefully you can find a way to worm around them so you can finally get to that root. Your father isn't very likely to dig it up for you after all, if Meissi is going to be right over his shoulder, making sure that he doesn't go diving into the ocean again. So we're just down to Nevi, who can clear out more of a play area for the babies. And then, of course, we need to see if Pineapple can dig up his very first root. Yeah, Requois made that pretty easy for you. It wasn't really much of a challenge, and I feel like a challenge might just be what Pineapple is looking for. So maybe it's time that they go out in search of more bunnies to hunt instead. We'll see if they can follow some of those old pathways, and hopefully find some little morsels burrowing through the snow. That should be the end of our turns though. So one last time, let's go back here and see what our very first baby from Anareme is going to look like. Oh, he has the mask. Yes. Oh, he looks so cool. He almost reminds me of a wolf in a way, with the way his markings are located, but of course that big digging trunk kind of throws off the theme. He is still super cute though, and very fierce too, so I'm sure his mother is quite proud. But the next name on my list is Avo, so welcome to the tribe, as the very first son to be born under the reign of Anareme. Yeah, I am quite interested to see what's going to happen once their family interacts with the rest of ours. And look at this. It would seem as if a walrus deer has spawned right in front of Melody's flames. So I wonder if this might be a little gift from her too. She knows that we're going to need to increase our food supplies quite quickly, so she's kind of throwing her loyal subjects a bone. Oh my goodness. Do we have the most beautiful tiger out here too? Were you the one making all of those pathways? Oh, she is gorgeous. Madison, you must make friends with her. You must make friends with her before we end this episode. Oh, she is the prettiest thing I have ever seen. And yet another heat body too. Yeah, I think she's going to fit right in with the story. So we'll see if the tribe accepts her in the next episode. But for now, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye guys!